All right, now that we've talked about the gizmo, let's talk about how to create our own custom gizmo. The first thing you want to do is open up where the gizmo files are. So you're going to have to go to Load Tool here because it's a tool, and we're going to go to our ZBrush 4R8. So it'll be under your C drive, Program Files, Pixel Logic, ZBrush 4R8, or wherever you have the program saved. And we're going to scroll all the way down until we see Z Startup, double click that, and in this folder you're going to see a Gizmo 3D. Go ahead and open that folder, and there's a bunch of gizmos in here. So when we load up an object and we hit W to go into gizmo mode, you can cycle through all of the gizmos that are in this folder. When we create our own custom gizmo, we're going to save it into this folder, and then as we cycle through, it'll cycle through and just grab whatever gizmos are saved in here. Probably the best one to start out with is a standard Gizmo 3D right here. So I'm going to double click this one, and it's going to load up the subtools over here. So if I drag this out of my document and go into edit mode, you're going to see what we have is a gizmo, and if we hit W, here is the actual gizmo, and here's the gizmo as a 3D object that we can manipulate and change to customize to our own liking. So let's talk a little bit about this. I'm going to hit Q to go into draw mode to get rid of that gizmo temporarily, and I'm going to open the subtool menu here, and you're going to see we have 13 subtools, and there's 3 things you do not want to change about this folder, or I'm sorry, about these subtools. Number 1, you do not want to mess with these RGB values. Even though these RGB values look the same, they're slightly different. So you're going to want to sample these, and in order to sample these colors without anything weird going on, what you're probably going to do to play it safe is choose a flat color, and then when you hit C, that'll go ahead and sample this red, and sample this red, and sample this green, and sample this green, et cetera, et cetera. So you want the colors to stay the same. Second thing you don't want to change is the names. You want to keep the names exactly the same. And the third thing you don't want to change is the order of these subtools. So keep everything in this file the same. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. Some of the easier things you can do if you want to make just custom stuff. Let's go ahead and turn off perspective here. So you can Alt-Tap through any of these. You can select the subtools. So we'll choose Move Y. We'll hit W to grab our gizmo, and then we can just go ahead and move this pivot wherever we want. If we want to make this longer, we can just non-uniformly scale, and we can kind of scale up these things, or we can scale them down if we want them to be like little nubbins, or we can hold down Control-Shift, and we can make copies of these things if we want to. It doesn't really matter what you want to do, but again, keep the colors the same, keep the subtool names the same, and keep the subtool order the same. So as long as you stay within those parameters, you're in good shape. Let's go ahead and replace these arrows with something else. What I'm going to do is go to BI, Brush, Insert, Body Parts. Now, you won't have this finger point. That's something I made, but you will have access to this hand. So you can take this hand, modify it into a finger pointer, and then append it to this brush if you want to. We'll get into the new brush settings in later videos, but I'm going to go ahead and choose finger point here. And with that one chosen, what I can do is we have Move Y selected. You can just Alt-Tap this little cone to select it. I'm going to go to the top here. I'm just going to drag that finger point right out here. For some reason, my Z intensity is turned on. I'm going to crank that up to 100. And now when we drag this out, it'll look like a regular finger. Now I'm going to want to orient this thing. So I'm going to hit W to go ahead and grab my gizmo here. And I'm just going to rotate this thing around and move it into place like so. And let's go ahead and scale it down uniformly just a bit, because I don't want it to overpower anything. I want it to be about the same size and shape, but we're just going to replace this arrow with our finger. Now, we want to make sure we sample this arrow color so we can transfer it to our hand. So I'm going to Control Drag to unmask. I'm going to go into flat color, and I'm going to hover over the arrow here, and I'm going to hit C, and that's going to sample that exact color green here. So now what I want to do is, since we've unmasked, we now have a cone and a hand. If we go into Polyframe, you're going to see these are 2 separate poly groups here. So let's go to Color, Fill Object, and that's going to fill our hand with that color green. And then because this is its own subtool here, or its own polygroup, I can hold down Control-Shift, tap this finger, or this pointing finger here, and that'll go ahead and turn visibility off for that cone. If I Control-Shift drag, that'll invert visibility. If you want more information on this type of thing, go to my YouTube channel, Intro to ZBrush Part 1 playlist, and just watch the first 47 videos. That'll get you kind of caught up on this kind of basics of ZBrush. But anyways, we'll go ahead and Control-Shift drag to invert that. Now we're going to go to Geometry, Modify Topology, and we're just going to do a Delete Hidden. So because we dragged this hand onto the Move Y, we don't have to change the subtool name. If you did want to, you can go here and just hit Rename, and then you can type in what you need to do, and Move Y would be what you would want to rename this. We didn't change the order of the subtools at all. We've got Move Y, Move X, and Move Z. They're still in the same order. So we're still in good shape. So let's go back to Matte Cap Gray here, and we'll go ahead and duplicate this hand around. Easy way to do that is just to go ahead and hit the duplicate button, and now we have move Y1. Now this is going to break things, right? So we don't want to keep it that way, but temporarily we can go ahead and duplicate this off. If I hit W, that's going to bring our gizmo back, and just like if you watch the previous gizmo videos, if you hold down Alt and then tap Home, that's going to shoot your pivot right to that center rolled axis, which luckily is right in the middle of this object. So with our duplicate here, what I can do is I can hold down Shift and I can rotate this down, and now we can replace this move X, and that's going to be that red cone there. So what I'm going to do is hit this bent up arrow with move Y1 selected, and now it's right underneath move X. So what I can do is select move X, go down here to merge down, hit the merge down arrow, and now my hand inherited the subtool name, which is good. But now we need to replace this green hand with a red hand. So again, I'm going to go to flat color here. I'm going to hit C to sample that red color, and I'm just going to do color, fill object, and now we've got both of those. Again, I have my hand on my own as its own polygroup, so I can hold down Control Shift, hit Q to go into draw mode. Hold down Control Shift, tap the hand, and then just do a delete hidden, which for you guys will be under Geometry, Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. If you want more info on custom hotkeys and custom menus, go to Intro to ZBrush Part 2 on my YouTube channel, and that'll walk you through that. So let's take another quick check here. We've got move X, which is red, and it's named correctly in the right order. We've got move Y, which is green. Now we need to do move Z. So let's go back to matcap gray here. Let's go ahead and take move X. We'll duplicate that off, and we'll move that with this bent down arrow right underneath move Z. So take this move X. We'll hit W to bring up our gizmo. Hold down Alt, tap the home key, and you can also hold down Alt and hit this reset orientation, and that'll shoot it straight forward. And now we can just grab this green one, rotate Y, and then hold down Shift as we do that, and we can just snap it right into place here. Oops, Shift, there we go. If we also want to, I can hold down Alt and then put it right onto, if you hold down Alt and then go to Unmatched Mask Center, you can do that. And now we can just rotate this thing in whichever direction we want. We can kind of move it into place here. So just like the other ones, what we're going to want to do is go ahead and merge this down. So I'm going to take this subtool here, we're going to merge down, and now it's move Z, so it's named correctly, it's in the right order, it's move X, move Y, move Z in the subtool order, but now we need to inherit that blue. So again, one more time, flat color, tap C to inherit that blue here. Let's go ahead and just do a color fill object, and because this is its own polygroup here, Control Shift, tap the finger, delete hidden, Geometry, Modify Topology, delete hidden. And now we can go out of polyframe mode, and now we have move Z, which is blue, move Y, which is green, move X, which is red, and everything looks like it's in order. Nothing else will really change, so I think we're in good shape. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and save this. Actually, before we do that, let's take another quick look at how this thing is constructed. If I go around to the back here, you're going to see this white ring right here, and these corner ones right here are single-sided. And the reason they're able to be single-sided is because these only stay screen space. Those always look directly at you. So if I hit W to bring our gizmo up, you're going to see, if we just look at the gizmo there, see how we can kind of see these cubes and see how they're highlighted as I roll over them. You can see how they're cones and they're cubes and they're in 3D, but I can't go around to the back there because this white ring and these white corner pieces here are screen orientation only. So if you, in fact, if you look over at the names here, you're going to see those are screen space, move screen space and rotate screen space. Those screen space objects are only going to look right at you. So same thing with this model, because you never see the back, they can just be one-sided. Just want to make sure I explain that. So now we'll go here to Save As. And we'll go right back to that folder. C, Program Files, Pixelogic, ZBrush 4R8, Z Startup, Gizmo 3D. Let's go ahead and name this one as Gizmo Pav Custom. Hit Save, and there we go. Now it's saved in that folder. Let's go ahead and go out of edit mode, Control N to clear my canvas, grab a Sphere 3D, make a white color. We'll make it a Polymesh 3D so we can modify it, and we'll hit W. Now by default, we just have the standard gizmo right here. If you want to change what this gizmo is, what you need to do, I'm going to close this brush menu over here. I'm going to go to Preferences and just take this white dot and just drag this over here. And you're going to see under Preferences, we've already got it open, there's a Gizmo 3D menu here. And there's some more stuff in here. You can turn off on or off Show Info. You can change the gizmo size, modifiers, length. But what I'm more interested in is this next gizmo right here. So if we hit Next, that's going to start cycling through the other gizmos in there. So you can see this one has some letters on it. This one is simplified, doesn't have cones. This one has some faces. You can second again, if you just roll over these, you're going to see what's highlighted and what you're going to be manipulating. And here we go. Hey, we got our custom one here. So with this gizmo selected, if we hover over here, this hand here, now these are finger pointing things, and you're going to see those are highlighting. So I can move this sphere this way, we can move it this way. Of course, we can still scale and rotate, and those screen space things are all behaving as expected. So you can see how easy that is just to kind of go through, make changes, non-destructive changes to this, in the sense that you're not changing the name, the order, or the colors. Just make sure you sample them. And again, this green is different from this green, so just be very careful when you're sampling. But now you have your own custom gizmo here. But if you wanted to go ahead and switch back to the original one, just hit reset gizmo, and that'll reset it back to the standard gizmo there.